Now, even though the recent Hogwarts Legacy trailer was much shorter than the one we got at the State of Play, there is quite a bit of information in this trailer, particularly about dark magic. Let's go ahead and take a deep dive right now and see how many details we can find, and maybe some possible hints at how choices will play out in this game.
The more we know about Salazar Slytherin and the dark arts, the better prepared we'll be.
Okay, the more we know about Salazar Slytherin and the dark arts, the better prepared will be. So that is clearly Sebastian talking there. And it opens with this first shot right here that we saw previously. They put this out on Twitter, on their social media accounts, the Beware the Spiders. I think this is the Forbidden Forest. Some people say maybe it's not. I think it is, and I don't think it would break the canon even if it is Acromantula in the forest. I think they could easily come up with a way to get around that. But it could also be a different type of spider. There are some spiders that we see in the recent wallpaper that was released. This is going to be on the deluxe cover of the game. This doesn't look like an Acromantula to me, so maybe they're going the route of it being a completely different type of spider. But even if it is Acromantula, I think that would totally work as well. If you go back and look at what Aragog actually said, he never said he was the first spider in the forest. And then we have this line from Sebastian about the more we know about Salazar Slytherin. So honestly, I feel like we've talked a little bit about Merlin more than we have the actual founders of Hogwarts, who could all be a major factor in this game. Whenever we got the release date announcement, they showed that outside shot of Hogwarts, and you can see up in the stained glass windows an item from one of each of the founders. Iconic items from the series, I might add. And then we have this dark magic trailer where they're talking all about Salazar Slytherin. I mean, maybe he is going to be more of a factor than we thought. All right, we're going to freeze it right here in this spot because I think this is a particularly interesting symbol right here. We can't quite make out what it is, but I wonder if this wasn't previously blocking this doorway right here. I think the way this trailer is shot and everything that it's leading up to, clearly this is going into the dungeon. I think that is going to be a very important area, even though it's optional. If you guys didn't catch that, Community Manager Chandler Wood confirmed that everything in this trailer, or I should say nearly everything, is from an optional quest, which may be the craziest thing about this whole trailer, is that if they're going this in-depth on something that is completely optional, then that bodes very well for the rest of the game. And then this shot right here is amazing. I mean, this looks like something out of Dark Souls. You see the little candles there floating, almost look like a little spine. And I love the nod to the Harry Potter movies because we see almost the exact same design in the Harry Potter movies. We also have what appears to be some coffins down here at the bottom. And then we have some more symbols on the columns right here. And it's hard to really tell who this is. I mean, I'm assuming that it's the player character along with Sebastian. But as you're getting ready to see, there is actually another character involved in this scene as well.
Either of you uses dark magic, I will notify the headmaster immediately.
Okay, so if either of you uses dark magic, I will notify the headmaster immediately. I'm going to bump it back right here just a little bit because did you guys catch what he just said? I will notify the headmaster, basically confirming that it will not be a headmistress in Hogwarts Legacy. So Eupraxia Mole out. And I think the most likely logical choice left is Phineas Black. Now, another name that I have seen some people tossing out recently is Dexter Fortescue. I think there's enough evidence to go against it being Fortescue and enough evidence in favor of Black. And now that we know it's not Mole based on this line right here, I think it is about 95% sure that it is going to be Phineas Black. Now, when it comes to this gentleman here, after the first time we saw him, I think a lot of people thought it was Sebastian's father. Now, it could, in fact, still be Sebastian's father, but I think this also confirms that he is a professor at the school, possibly care of magical creatures. Maybe this is Ernesto Jag. Or another idea I've seen tossed out is possibly the caretaker. My money is on care of magical creatures. It almost even looks like the gamekeeper's hut right there in the background behind him in this shot here. He's clearly someone who knows of Hogwarts. He knows of the wizarding world because he's talking about notifying the headmaster. And it almost sounds like he knows what is in this cave because he's specifically talking about dark magic. And as we're going to see here in a second, dark magic is how they are actually able to progress in this little area. All right, and there we get another shot. And I think this one does not look like Sebastian right here. Maybe it is. I don't know, though. It just doesn't look like him to me. Then we also have these kind of yellowish glow. I think this maybe is just candles here in the background. And one of the common themes of this trailer, I mean, it's dark in general, but it is also actually dark to look at as well. There's a lot of shadowy areas, so I wouldn't be surprised if you guys find some more details that I miss. If you do, please let me know down in the comments below, because I'd love to hear what you guys have found.
Unforgivable curses are so named.
Oh, dude, this shot right here is one of my favorites. I gotta back up. We gotta replay this again, because if you look, it almost looks like the snakes are moving right here. Look at that. You get kind of that shimmering effect. And this one, I mean, this has to be Salazar Slytherin, right? Maybe it's Merlin. He was also a Slytherin as well. But considering that they're talking so much about Salazar Slytherin in this trailer, I think this is very likely to be a statue of Salazar Slytherin. And I just love, I did not catch that on the first couple of viewings, actually. I saw the snakes, but I didn't see them having that sort of subtle movement. Watch it one more time. Oh, it's kind of creepy. It's almost like it might be a reflection of maybe some water nearby. And there's a lot going on in these couple shots here. So we had that shot here of Slytherin. As they're showing that, they show this strange book that has a number of different runes. We see a rune here, rune most likely here as well. This one's kind of blurred out. Then over here. And then this other kind of circular one right here. And then a mark that a lot of people have been talking about because it looks so close to the mark of the Deathly Hallows. Now, it's not, because it doesn't have the wand, so I don't think it's the Deathly Hallows. I have read some comments from other people saying that traditionally a triangle with a circle in the middle is somehow related to alchemy, so maybe Nicholas Flamel, maybe something to do with a Sorcerer's Stone or Philosopher's Stone, depending on where you're at. And as much as I'd like to say, oh man, it's clearly the mark of the Deathly Hallows, I just can't, because it is definitely missing the wand through the middle.
A spell that could save your life shouldn't be unforgivable.
Okay, a spell that could save your life shouldn't be unforgivable. Now, Sebastian actually bringing up an interesting point right there. Fans of the series will know that Harry used a couple of the unforgivable curses on more than one occasion. So it certainly raises an interesting moral question, and I think this game is going to put us in several of those scenarios where we have to choose. We have to react and figure out if we think it is worth using an unforgivable curse or not. Now, when it comes to the actual scenes that we just saw, we get a great shot here of yet another just kind of dark, moody, atmospheric. I mean, you've got the fog going on. You have these massive bones, which, I mean, this has to be from the Hebridean Black Dragon, right? Does this mean that at some point in the game we are going to kill or take down this dragon? Maybe we witness poachers taking down the dragon. How many of those Hebridean Black Dragons are actually out there? And the reason I think it's that one is because if you look at this little, what is it? I mean, you guys, you call it a horn here, kind of sticks out the side of the mouth, side of the head. Then we have the thestrals over here. Also another thestral flying here in kind of the top left corner. And then we have some birds flying around as well. Oh, and don't forget the little rat right there. Hey, rats confirmed as pets for Hogwarts Legacy. I don't know, but they're clearly in the game. And then we get another shot right here with more of the beware spider sign. So you know what? I am thinking that the gamekeeper, I think it is Ernesto Jag, the gentleman that we hear talking in this trailer. Maybe that's not his name, whatever, but I do think he is the gamekeeper. And I think he is the one who put up these signs. Again, because of what he was saying in that opening part of the trailer, I think he knows what is back there. And as we're going to see here toward the end of the trailer, he ends up finding and tracking down the students as well. So I clearly think he knows his way around this area. And it wouldn't surprise me at all if he is the one who, in fact, put up these signs. And then this is one of just like the creepiest shots of the entire trailer. We get this scene with all these spiders, and then we get someone, clearly this appears to be a human who has been wrapped up in the webbing of these spiders, and we can hear them screaming, muffled, but we can definitely hear them. And then we just get kind of this zoom out shot from overhead. Oh, and then I love the transition here. It goes from that shot to then this shot of it. We're sort of deep in a cavern, and it looks like the camera is pulling down in that one. Now, here in this next scene, we continue to move our way, I think, through this dungeon that they set up at the beginning of the trailer. I don't know if this is Salazar Slytherin's tomb. I don't know if it's another area that he built similar to the Chamber of Secrets, but this clearly has a heavy influence of Salazar Slytherin. Look along the wall. You almost certainly have seen the snakes there. We've got all the spider webs as well. And then in this next scene, get ready for it, because we're going to see a third character. A lot of people have been talking, who is this third character? We have Sebastian here in the front. We have our player character here. And then back here. I am watching this at the 4K version because on the initial viewing, I totally missed this. This area of my screen was just too dark. It was too blacked out. I could not even see that anyone was there. So there are lots of questions about this individual. Is it just some sort of random side character who happens to be going with us? Is that another companion? It clearly looks to be a Slytherin given their robes. Maybe it's just a friend of Sebastian's. We don't know. But then Sebastian here at the front comes to an area where Crucio is written across the floor, thus confirming the second unforgivable curse for Hogwarts Legacy, which I think basically confirms all three. I mean, come on, you're not going to have two and not do the third, right? So Avada Kedavra, Crucio, 100% confirmed, and I'm going to go ahead and say I think it's highly likely that Imperio is in as well. Personally, I think Imperio is the one that has the most gameplay scenarios, the most gameplay utility going for it. But here they're going to show off a use case for Crucio, and in this case, it involves getting through this area. So listen to what Sebastian says here.
To us, I can teach you Crucio, or I can cast it on you. I'm ready. Crucio!
So he says, I can teach you Crucio, or I can cast it on you. Then we get that interesting pan back of the camera where it sort of splits the screen in two. And I think they stopped just short of showing us something, but what they're suggesting there is almost certainly a moment of choice. We are going to have to decide as the player, do we have Sebastian cast Crucio on us, or do we choose to take part in the dark magic and cast Crucio on him? Now, what's interesting about this is that it looks like you will be able to progress this quest whether you want to play as good or evil. And then again, is it even really considered evil if Sebastian is willingly allowing you to cast it on him? Harry Potter fans will remember, to cast Crucio, you have to mean it. In fact, Harry tries to cast it on Bellatrix and it just does not work. So I wonder how they're going to get around that here, because it's not something that you can just like, oh, I want to cast it because we need to get by this door. Now, in all the craziness that happened after the Gamescom trailer, we also learned that Hogwarts Legacy will not feature a morality system. They updated the official FAQ and said this, but reconfirmed that we will have choices to make in the game that will determine the witch or wizard we want to be. And we clearly see one of those choices here. And so now my next big question is, what are the consequences? You know, does it matter if we choose to cast Crucio or have it cast upon us in this scenario? Is there any difference at all? Will there be some sort of in-game representation of our wizard or witch changing as they go down the dark path? Will the world around us change? Will characters react to us in a different way? Will we have different endings? I think that is the biggest one that people want to know about. And I was a little bit worried when they said that no morality system, because I'm kind of thinking, okay, if there's no morality system, then how does it track? I mean, does it even matter at all? As long as they have some sort of repercussion, some sort of impact of the choices you make, and some sort of difference, then I think it will still be meaningful, even if there isn't some sort of system that's statistically tracking how dark versus how light you are.
You've made your choice.
And then we hear a different voice, a voice that sounds to be a female voice, a pained female voice, and it seems to be directed at Sebastian, saying, you've made your choice. Let's listen to it one more time here.
You've made your choice.
I have no idea who that could be. Maybe it's the lady that we saw in the other trailer with Sebastian. Maybe it's someone that we haven't met yet at all. Maybe it's Sebastian's mother. Then we get another shot of Inferi. They have focused a lot on Inferi in all the trailers. We've seen them in every single trailer so far. And they're also going to appear in the deluxe edition cover art, along with Dementors. Now, Dementors appear in the cover art as well, but what's interesting is they have not been focused on nearly as heavily in the trailers. In fact, we've only seen them in that first big reveal trailer, and that's it. And honestly, I was beginning to wonder, because when we didn't see them at all and nobody had really mentioned them, I was kind of starting to thinking, okay, maybe they decided not to include Dementors in the game. But the fact that they're including them on the box art for the deluxe edition, I mean, I think they're in, which also, if you have Dementors, does that not confirm Expecto Patronum? I mean, we have to have a way to combat Dementors, and a Patronus is the only way to do that. And then we get a nice look at some more combat in this game. Combat against the Inferi. And back to the Inferi for a second. Here's the thing I want to know about them. Who created them? That's right. Who created them, guys? Because fans of the series will know that Inferi don't just appear on their own. Every single time there is an Inferi, there is a dark wizard at the center of it. So a dark wizard has to cast a terrible curse to even make this a possibility, to even make this happen. And it seems like there are plenty of Inferi in this game. So who is behind all this? I mean, do they give us a hint in the trailer right here? Because watch what happens. As soon as we go from this scene, we go from this to this wizard right here. A masked wizard. Some people are saying this is Rookwood. I don't know if it's Rookwood. I mean, it certainly fits. We've got the hat here. We've got the mask. We've got him casting this curse against our main character. Our main character blocking it with Protego. Maybe it is Rookwood. And there's a look at Protego right there. We also get the sound effect for Protego. Did you guys catch that? I think Protego is going to be a super fun spell to use and obviously a critical part of gameplay in Hogwarts Legacy. And then do I see blood right here flying up in the air after this spell rebounds back and hits the person who was casting it against us? Then we get another shot of Sebastian because clearly something goes awry when we are down in this dungeon with Sebastian, and they are having to fight off a lot of Inferi and who knows what else down there. Now, what's interesting about that dark wizard is that could very well be from a different scene. We're not sure. So we get the shot of Sebastian fighting, we get the shot of the Inferi burning, and then this scene right here, when I was talking about this scene with my chat, a lot of people were saying this is the Slytherin common room. Now, it's a possibility. We get another glimpse at that mysterious character over here on the right. I think it's the same person anyway. I do not think it's Sebastian. But the reason I don't think it's the Slytherin common room is because we have these spider webs over here. I mean, wouldn't they make sure to clean that up, or do they just think it goes with the Slytherin vibe? I don't know. I mean, we know that the Slytherin common room is in the dungeons, but watch the way this scene progresses. I do not think it's the Slytherin common room because watch right after this, the doors open, and then it immediately goes into this shot right here. Up just this incredibly creepy step of bones, and then it has the character walk through this area into this area right here. So I think they are still in this kind of dungeon-like area. And this shot right here is incredible and also horrifying at the same time. I mean, look at all the spider webs now. We went from a few spider webs to spider webs everywhere. We can see captured prey hanging from the ceiling. I don't even want to know what that is. Are those more Inferi? Are those humans that have been captured along the way? Is it something else entirely? We have no idea. But this shot right here just has so many details in it. I mean, you've got the reflections on the water, you've got the flames, you've got the shadows, just so moody, so atmospheric. I love it. And you guys already know, I mean, there's a giant spider at the end of this. There has to be a giant spider boss or a horde of spiders for us to take on as we're trying to escape this area. We get a glimpse at some more runes on the column here to the right. Now, this scene right here is absolutely fascinating to me because if you watch it, I'm going to play it a couple of times here, it clearly seems like this troll is targeting the Inferi. Now, that first swipe, you may just think, oh, the Inferi was in the way. Maybe the Inferi was standing in front of the player. I could get that. But then if you watch, when he actually goes to swing down, I mean, he is trying to punish this Inferi that is attacking. So it's that second blow, that big swing downward that leads me to believe there is something else going on here. So I don't know if this troll is working on our side, or maybe, just maybe, we have cast the Imperious Curse on this troll to get him to fight for us. I think that would be an insane moment. Or, I just thought of this one as I was recording. Maybe the Dark Wizard who set these Inferi loose is also one of the Dark Wizards who is imprisoning all of these magical creatures. And this troll has just had enough. This troll is like, that's it. I'm done. I'm breaking out of here. And then maybe we're just kind of a bystander. But I love the variety in the magical creatures. This is a completely different type of troll than we have seen in the other trailer.
What have the two of you done?
We get another shot with this professor, maybe gamekeeper. We're not really sure, but he has clearly made his way into the dungeon where Sebastian and our player character are at the time, and he is not happy. What have the two of you done? He knows something is wrong. We get the cut to Sebastian right here, who looks just absolutely terrified. He knows they've messed up, and now it seems that the professor is going to have to help us get out of this situation. But think about all the story repercussions from this, you guys, because if this is the set way that it has to happen, like maybe this guy has to find us every single time, then he's already said he's going to notify the headmaster. So does this mean that Sebastian gets expelled from the school? Does this mean that we'll face consequences if we were the one that used Crucio. So this goes back to what we were talking about, is will there be consequences? So what if we think we're making the good choice and we do not want to cast Crucio? So we say to Sebastian, hey, you cast it on us. But then he's already had all the run-ins with the headmaster at Hogwarts, and so they're just going to be like, no, dude, you're out of here. What if we actually get him expelled? But if we cast Crucio, what if he somehow gets to stay and then, I don't know, we get detention or something? Now, these curses were made unforgivable all the way back in 1717, well before Hogwarts Legacy. It's a little bit unclear what exactly the punishments were at the time, but we know by Harry Potter's day, I mean, if you cast these on another human being, that is supposed to be an Azkaban life sentence. In fact, the only way out of this was if the caster did so under the influence of the Imperious Curse, which was something that was commonly argued after the First Wizarding War for people to try and get out of it. And we do get a very nice shot of Hogwarts here in the background. We get a great look at the Thestral, which unfortunately is locked behind the deluxe edition. That is the only way to get the Thestral mount, guys. So if you want to fly at all on a Thestral, that is not something that you'll be able to unlock in the game any other way. And then, dude, this Dark Arts pack, I'm not trying to sound like a fanboy here, but I actually think it looks really slick. I love the look of this Dark Arts attire. And now, even though this trailer focused heavily on the dark side and the dark magic in Hogwarts Legacy, it did not even begin to scratch the surface of all the possibilities. And if you are interested in what that may look like, then you have to check out the video on the right side of your screen now, because I recently did a deep dive video on dark magic in Harry Potter and how it may be used in Hogwarts Legacy. As always, thank you all so much for watching. I'll talk to you again soon.